All right. Good morning, everyone. And thank you so much for joining us here today. Today's Shiur should be Le'ilu Nishmas, our dear friend Menachem ben Yisrael Yaakov, as well as my dear aunt Rivka Bas Gavril Tzvi, and the Refuah Shalema Meshulam ben Sarah Rachel, and the Refuah Shalema Miriam Bas Sarah. Okay, so we are in middle of the introduction for Shaar Habitachon, and we're talking about the different benefits, there's 10 benefits to bitachon. And the third benefit of bitachon, we talk about that somebody who has bitachon is going to be better than the alchemist. And so he says there's 10 different reasons in this third benefit of bitachon. There's 10 different reasons he brings how we're better than the alchemist. And so today we're going to talk about a couple more of these reasons. V'hasheni. The second reason as to why when somebody trusts in Hashem, when someone has bitachon in Hashem, he's better than the alchemist, is kibal hakimiya tzarich lemasim u'lemlachos lo yishalem lo cheftzei zulasam. That in order for the alchemist to succeed in his work, the alchemist needs to perform many difficult activities and tasks with which he cannot achieve his goal. And so he must work long hours. He works with these chemicals, these fumes, these hazardous circumstances. And so therefore there's occupational hazards that are involved in the alchemist's job. Ve'efsha shem yisi'u rachum ve'ashanim. And he may be killed by the fumes and the smoke and the burning chemicals. When a person genuinely places his trust in Hashem, he refrains from doing any kind of work that can bring him any kind of bodily harm. Why? Because that person understands that his livelihood will come to him with regardless of whatever he does, as long as he does his ishtadlus, and therefore he doesn't have to put himself into a job, a position where he's doing something that's, physically harming. And so that's how he's very different than this alchemist. But one who trusts in Hashem is safe from occupational hazards since he has no need to engage in any kind of harmful work. Moreover, he has no worries because he is confident that he will be free from encountering any troubles, for he is under Hashem's providential care. And anything that Hashem may bring upon him, even if it's unfavorable to him, he will enjoy the source of this because he understands that this is ultimate goodness from Hashem. This is the point that he makes over here in the second part, and the second reason why he's better than alchemists. Thus, his sustenance comes to him with tranquility, with calm and serenity. Just like the pasuk says in Tehillim, he says, in lush meadows he lays me down, beside tranquil waters he leads me. That Hashem, it says over there in the pasuk in Tehillim, he gives an example that Hashem as being the shepherd, and that if you trust in your shepherd, you'll never lack anything, and that we're the sheep over there. And therefore, he talks about that the sheep relies completely on the shepherd and does not lack anything that he needs. And David HaMelech emphasizes the addition of the shepherd upon whom he relies, and he says the word lush meadows and the word tranquil waters, where he means over there, in other words, that Hashem provides his sheep, in this metaphor, with sustenance in ways that are pleasant to them both physically and emotionally. The person with bitachon is thus far better off than the alchemist whose work involves physical labor and severe emotional stress. And so the second reason he brings is because you no longer have the emotional hazard, the occupational hazards that you might have with otherwise that you being an alchemist. Now he moves on to the third advantage of bitachon over alchemy. Vashlishi. The third way in which one who trusts Hashem is better than the alchemist is kibal hakimiya einoi mamin al soide zulasoi mir asay al nashad. The alchemist cannot trust anyone else with his secret out of fear of his life. What's going to happen? The alchemist It's a secret what he's doing because he's really doesn't really have gold. He really takes chemicals and metals and puts them together and has fool's gold, what the world might call it. And he's fooling people. But if anyone finds out what he's doing, that he has a big problem on his hand. They're going to come out and kill him. By contrast, the flip side, there's one who trusts in Hashem is never afraid of anyone because he has full bitachon in Hashem. And on the contrary, he's even proud of the fact that he's so trusting in Hashem. David HaMelech, he says, may he rest in peace, he said. In God I have trusted, I shall not fear what would man do to me. He says, I trusted in man all my life. And so I'm not afraid of other people. The alchemist is always afraid if someone finds out that he's in big trouble. That's the third reason. And the fourth reason, and that's what we're going to finish today. The fourth advantage of bitachon over being an alchemist. The fourth of which, that to ensure that his needs are met. What's the whole reason this person is an alchemist? Because he wants to have comfort in knowing that he's going to have support for the rest of his life, right? That's the idea. Because he can make less precious metals into precious metals. So he can take $1 and turn it into $100 pretty easily. And so in order to do this, he can either do one or two things. He can either prepare large quantities of gold and silver beforehand, and that's going to be available for him to the future. Or what he could do is he could just make enough for what he needs today, and then every single time he needs more, he'll just make more. Here's the problem. The problem is that neither one of these options provides him with a true sense of financial security. Because if he prepares a lot of gold and silver in advance, what's going to happen? He will be constantly in state of anxiety, worrying that he should not lose it in any of the various ways that one's fortune might get lost. And in addition, his heart will never be calm and his spirit will never be at ease due to his concern about hiding his fortune from the king or from the common folk. What's going to happen? People might steal this or the king might seize it. What he's bringing over here is that the alchemist's mindset over here is that if I can make enough money or easily make enough money, I'm going to have peace of mind for the rest of my life because I have money for the rest of my life. But what he's bringing out over here is that that's not necessarily true. Because with fortune comes a lot of worry with that. You always constantly have to be worried about your assets, about your money. Constantly making sure that it might get lost, someone might not steal it, you might not lose it in a bad deal. So you're constantly worrying about all that money and all those assets. The other flip side of it is, and the second option is that he only prepares what he needs today, and whenever he needs more, he's going to prepare more, is that it's possible that just when he needs the money most, he will be prevented from practicing his craft. Meaning, what's going to happen? Because he will be lacking one of the components. Maybe he's not going to have one of those less precious metals. Maybe he's going to be missing one of the chemicals he needs, right? And thus, he won't be able to come out. He won't be able to make his fool's gold. A person who has bitachon in Hashem is free of all this. However, he wants to. Because whenever he wants to, and whenever Hashem wants to, wherever Hashem wants to, he's going to give him what he needs. The person who's the alchemist, he has to rely still on his materials. He has to still rely that he's going to have a place to do it in hiding because he doesn't want anyone to see it. He has to rely still on the fact that he might lose his health over the fact of all the fumes and the hard work that he's going to have. So at the end of the day, he doesn't really have a great solution whether he prepares a bunch in advance or he only makes enough for him to sustain for a little bit of time. And now he brings a few psukim, sets a few examples of how Hashem provides for as he desires, regardless of the location or the situation. He brings a pasuk like this: that we spoke about before, that Hashem provides sustenance for a child while he's a fetus, and as well as a chicken while he's in the egg. Both of those places are confined spaces. Nothing gets in, nothing gets out. Yet the Hashem made sure that these two a fetus, a child, or a creature like a chicken, even though they're enclosed in an egg or in a fetus, or in the mother, that they still have the sustenance they need in order to survive, to grow, and to become, to be born. Even though it has no opening through which anything can be brought into them or from outside. And also he says provides for birds in the sky, fish in the water. He brings all these different examples. And as he enables the small ant that despite its feebleness, that even a small ant that has no energy, it doesn't have any strength, yet it still gives the ant its sustenance. While the mighty lion will on some days lack provisions despite its strength. This is all because Hashem provides for his creatures when he wants to, and withholds provisions from them when he doesn't want to, when he wants to as well. Regardless of the capability or physical strength, whether it's an ant that has no strength, Hashem can give him food whenever he wants, and whether it's the lion that has all the strength in the jungle, that sometimes they also go hungry. In the same way, the alchemist may be denied provisions in spite of his excellent craft that he has. But the one who places trust in Hashem is guaranteed sustenance. The alchemist doesn't have a guarantee. He doesn't. He has all the different obstacles that can befall upon him. And therefore, trusting in Hashem in this example as well, in this fourth advantage, is that you still at the end of the day, trusting in Hashem has a better outcome than the alchemist. It says in the Pasuk in Tehillim, Kefir Moshe Revodesh Hashem Yachzu Chol Tov. Young lions may want and hunger, but those who seek Hashem will not lack any good. Like we spoke last time, a lot of times when it's going to say throughout Shaar Habitachon, if you trust in Hashem, you will not lack any good. Yariv Hashem Nefesh Tzadik. And even when food is scarce, such as during a famine, the righteous will provide. For Hashem HaMelech says in Mishlei, Hashem will bring hunger upon the souls of the righteous. Hashem will not bring hunger upon the souls of the righteous. And it says in the Pasuk, it says, I have been a youth and I also aged, but I never seen a righteous man forsaken, nor his children begging for bread. The examples over here is bringing over here. When you trust in Hashem, you will not lack anything. If even the alchemist, even the one who can make something out of nothing, supposedly so, also has some trials and tribulations that he has to get through. There's also obstacles in the way every single day, that whether he makes a lot of them, he makes little, and all these examples is showing that we're still better off than the alchemists, even though they can print money. Thank you, everyone, for joining us here today, and I love you all.